What we're going to do, Paula and Rhonda are actually going to go through a program step by step so that you can see the actual steps that we take as we go through. Okay, so once the project report has been completed, we'll go back and answer any questions that might come up. And then after we've done that, we'll look at the questions that some of you have sent in, and Pauline and Rhonda will use their experience in assessing projects from all over the Federation in answering those questions as best they can. You all know who we are. I don't think there's anybody there who's a stranger. I'm Jill Godwin and I'm the Membership Training Coordinator for New South Wales. We've got Rhonda McCormack. Wave to us, Rhonda, in case anybody doesn't know you. Rhonda is the SEAP Federation Assistant Program Convener, and Pauline is the Federation Zone Coordinator for Zone 3.
Yeah.
Okay, first thing I'm going to do is to pass over to Pauline. Okay, so there we are. That's our introduction. And over to Pauline.
Okay. Hello, ladies, and thank you for attending tonight. So why do we report? Well, Seroptimus International of the Southeast Asia Pacific has special consolidative status to the United Nations and also recognised as a non-government organisation, an NGO. By reporting on all that our clubs are doing allows our efforts and opinions to be shared with a wider community and makes us an effective advocacy voice and global voice for women and girls. By reporting, we provide accurate data, authenticating what we do and why we do it. The collected data also contributes to the United Nations reaching the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. I will now pass you on to Rhonda to create the project report.
Okay, so to be able to do that, I've got to stop sharing, and Rhonda, you can share your screen.
Yeah. And you can ask questions via the chat and we will address them later.
So I'm going into the database at the moment. I'm already logged on. So I go to the members section. And when you get to the members section, this page, you scroll up till you get to program. Click on program. And there's two things in the quick links. One is the information downloads area and the other is your program reporting database. Then you need to put in your username, which in our case, this is the Brisbane Water page, and the password. And is there anyone who does not know how to do that? You can let me know later. Then the page opens and we go into reports. And I need to get your faces moved across. And when it opens, you'll see all your published reports. And at the moment, we want to create a new report. So we click on create a new report. Okay, so we're ready to go to do a project. And I'm using a project that Brisbane Water has done in the past, just as an example. And we put the title in. So this one's called Personal Care Packs, but because it's a project that goes on from year to year, we must put the year date in that we're. Then we need to put the high-level summary. Now, this is to be very short.
This needs to be 50 words or less and just a sentence about what the project is. So you don't have to use up to 50 words, but they do say that. So what is the main focus?
Brisbane Water supplied clients entering the mental health units at Gosford and Wyong hospitals with personal care packs. Now, this is mainly used for people who are searching reports and looking for a particular project. And if the high-level summary is there and it's very short, it quickly it gives you an overview. Yes, that's what I'm looking for. So we will go down to the next question. The club name is in there automatically, the country and the zone. and the date of the report. Then you have to decide what type of report it is. And in this case, it's a project. And once you click on project, the rest of the form pops up. And then we have to choose a goal. It's always goal 2. An objective. Now, if you don't know what the objectives are, you can press on this little information, this circle with the information exclamation mark in it, and it'll give you all the information that you need. Ours is healthcare.
And you were going to talk about the fact that those 8 objectives are objectives that relate to the SDG goals from the United Nations.
That's right. And so then we have to choose an SDG goal.
And beside the list of objectives, you will note that there are suggestions for an SDG which will usually suit what you are doing. Not always, but usually. So after the objectives, in inverted commas, they give you some suggestions.
And we move down to the target. Now, in this case, it's not applicable, but sometimes the targets are really hard to read because they're off the page. So when I go down, you'll see that it's off the page. If you go right up to the top, to the 3 little dots at the top, you can zoom out so that you can read them. And the one on the bottom is not applicable. But then you've got to go back and zoom up again so that you can read the rest of your page. That's just a tip. Okay, so then they talk about partnerships. Where am I up to?
Partnership, you've put in what you're partnered with, SI members and friends and family.
This is anyone who's given you goods in kind or have helped you to reach your goal.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yep.
The project involved Indigenous girls. Yes, in this case it did. Now we're up to the start and end of the project. And it has to be within the year that you're reporting. So ours is yearly, so we would start at the 1st of January. And the end day of the project is today's date because I can't go to the 31st of December tonight. But
No.
normally I'd be doing it later in the year and I would choose a date in December. And it's absolutely vital that you put 2 dates that are within the year that you're reporting. If you've got a program that goes over 2 years, you can always say at the start when you start describing it that we've been working on this for, in this last 6 months of 2023, and this is what we've done in 24. Because if you've got, some clubs have put the first, say, September 23 and the end was 2024. Well, if you do that, it won't show up in your annual report because you've got 2 years involved in the start and finish. So if you've got questions about that, you can ask me about that later. Okay, so describe the
identified problem. So clients who present at mental health units mostly come without any personal belongings. Providing personal care packs provides essential items for their stay. So once that's filled in.
I won't put it all in.
No.
Right.
Yep.
Now this is the area where you've got to put as much information as you can. So for a project, there are areas that needs lots of information for it to become a project. If your club has engaged in anything that has involved multiple members, taken many hours to perform, cost a lot of money and helped a lot of women and girls, then chances are it's a project rather than an activity. So, but you've got to put all the information in. You can't just write 1 or 2 sentences. So what do we do to address the problems?
The more detail, the better. We need information on every aspect of the project. This report contains 17 lines of information. So what Rhonda is about to put in is not the exact wording of the report. It's just to give you an idea of what is needed. For example, who, you up to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, who, in
Okay.
consultation with the mental health units, who identified the needs of the clients. So express the needs.
Don't worry about that.
And then what was collected? Name the items, stated whether they were donated or purchased, and then where. So at a member's home, the items were packed, they were labelled, the bags were labelled, they were put with compliments and SI stickers on each pack, the number of packs donated, emphasise that we delivered twice the amount of the previous year, held a fundraiser to raise money to cover the shortfall from other donors, etc. So give as much information as possible. And then how. The items were packed into bags, then packs of 20 placed in boxes for transporting. Members then transported them to each hospital.
Okay, so as Pauline said, our report contains 17 lines of information, so that's quite a lot of information. And then the next question is, what change did you hope to see as a result? And
we hope that the hygiene of patients would be addressed, resulting in less patient stress and greater self-worth. So you just state there that just needs to be a couple of lines or whatever.
You have testimonials to share, and we do.
Yeah, you reading those, Rhonda? Yeah.
Yeah. We had positive feedback from staff and patients. Hospital staff have told us that our packs were well received and helped to give the patient some dignity during their recovery. So that was sort of proving that that the packs were welcome and that they were successful.
And if for some reason you can type these in, but if they don't fit, you can list them on a PDF document and upload with any photos you may have.
I know that, yeah, okay, we'll go on to that later. Number of women helped by the project. So the UN would like us, when we're putting this in, to be as accurate as we can. So for our project, we contacted the hospital and asked the question, what percentage of the patients attending the unit each year were women and what percentage were girls? And then we had the number of packs that we prepared and we calculated the number that way. So back in, this wasn't 2024, but we did 241 year. And the number of girls we helped was 35. The name of the country, Australia. Total amount of money spent on the project. We calculated how much it would have cost had we gone out and bought all the items, and it was $8,474. And then the number of hours taken to implement the project, that was calculated by the number of women who came and packed the goods and delivered the goods and the numbers of hours each one spent doing that. So that was 114 hours. So now if you've got photographs to add, this is where you would add your photographs or any PDF files that you wanted to add as an addition. But you can only do this in a project. Can't do it. You can't add photographs to activities or donations or advocacy. So you would upload your file, find your photograph and open it, and it will show you what the photograph looks like on the page, and you can do as many as 6 different files or photographs. So then we come to saving. So we save it, but when we save it, that's different to submitting. So we save it and it goes into drafts, so that if you want to go back to it, but it won't save unless you filled in every single field. Now, if you haven't got the information, say you're in the middle of drafting doing a report, and you get to the middle and you think, oh gosh, I haven't worked out how much this is all going to cost. Well, just put a note in there, save it, and come back to it later when you find it in the draft.
And
Okay.
there are prompts too, isn't there? And throughout the report that you can open arrows down to guide you through the report.
So here is the draft. Here's our draft. If I close my computer, I would have to open it up again and go to the drop-down menu and go into drafts. And there it is. Now I can open it again. If I'm happy, if I'm not happy with some of the things that I've written, like that high-level summary is pretty bad, I will go edit.
All right. Yep.
And I will change the information on that. Just not clicking on it at the moment.
Perhaps if you click off it, yes.
Yeah. Okay. It's asking me to edit. So now I can go in and change it and put SI Brisbane Water. But then I have to save it before I submit it. So I save it again. It says, you want to save this report? Yes. Gone back into drafts again. I know this is a business, but that's how it works. And then I'm happy with it now. I've looked through it. Everything looks okay. I will submit it. And it always says, do you want to submit this report? Yes, I do. And it's gone. Okay.
Okay, so we've got some questions. Jackie's been busy. Most of the questions are from Jackie, so we'll start with those. If anybody else has any questions, please get typing into the chat, or we'll ask you, you can speak them shortly anyway. First of all, how long should a report stay in the submit area? This is one that we also had later that Jackie sent in. So we will, we'll have a, do you want to answer that one now, Rhonda, or do you want to go?
Yeah. Yes, there's no given time. We've had a few problems this year because we've had a change of people on our staff. So we could be a bit behind, but if there's no given time. And I do know that at the moment, some of the later ones have been assessed and some of the earlier ones haven't. So we're still catching up. Does that satisfy you, Jackie?
Rhonda, you also said that different people mark different types of reports.
Yes, that's right.
And so they're not necessarily in chronological order.
No. The directors mark the projects, but the zone coordinators mark all the directors mark projects and advocacy, and the zone coordinators mark the donations and activities.
And what do you call them?
Scholarships.
Yeah, scholarships.
Yeah. So you've got different people assessing them, and that's why they're done at a different time.
Does that answer your question, Jackie?
Yeah. We've just got, I had one that I submitted on the weekend that's been approved. Yet we've got ones that have been on for a few months that haven't.
Yeah.
So. but they
Some
put,
get
I'm
some
actually
some get
dealing with-
approved very quick once a report is submitted, and then for some reason or other, others they may need to check on something or whatever. But some do take longer than others. But
Yeah.
there is no special order. But the coordinators aim to get to the reports as soon as possible.
But I'm on to that problem. I have seen that is a bit of a problem, so I'm addressing that. Okay.
thank you.
Okay, and I think we've probably answered this one. Can you constantly save a report during the progress?
Yes, you can.
I don't
But
think it's easy,
You
but
must fill
I
in
think
every.
sometimes, yeah, I just think sometimes you get to the end and you think you've saved, and I push the save button and then I go back in 10 minutes time and there's nothing there and then I have to start again. So,
It will definitely be
Oh.
gone if you haven't filled in all the
All
fields.
the parts.
but does it tell you haven't filled them in? That's my problem.
Well, I
filled
did a
I
test
have.
one today, and yes, it does actually, but you've got to be able to see where it tells you. It comes up with a blue line across it,
Okay.
and it says insert an answer here, just like you do when you're filling in a form for the RTA or the ATO or something, and it tells you, won't let you go any further until you've filled that field in.
But the thing is, you can't half save it. You have to go and you've said go and put zeros or X's in all the
Yes.
lines to only half save it.
Every field has to be filled in before it can be
Good to
saved.
say, yeah.
And I think it's a bit confusing too because it doesn't go directly. You can't submit it directly. It has to go through that draft process first.
Yeah.
And I think that's a little bit confusing for some people as well. Okay, next question.
Can I just butt in there?
Yes,
Yeah.
Will.
I think the other thing that's happened with some of our members is, and it's happened with me too, is that you click save it, and then you click back to reports, and you just have to wait till it comes up in draft. And I've done that a couple of times, where I haven't waited, or the computer. And the other thing is our internet connection so bad that sometimes you go to save it and you've lost the whole thing anyway because it won't connect in time. But I do think unless people wait till they see it come up in drafts before they do anything else in the database, that's when people tend to lose them, I think.
Like I would make the recommendation that when you're writing out not the high level summary, that the next level where you are actually reporting, do that in Word first.
Exactly.
Because I've been caught out many a time trying to bring it in and then accidentally push the wrong button and then off we go. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so always make sure you've got your information ready, basically. Yeah. And you can cut it from Word, paste it. Yeah. Good suggestion.
And also, we were going to talk about reusing previous years' things too, Rhonda.
Yes, you can use the reuse button, but don't forget to save it because it will not. It won't work unless when you make your changes, save it. I know from experience that I've done that and it hasn't. I haven't saved it. I've just submitted it back again, and yeah.
But are we okay to just reuse exactly the same program, like the program report? Like we have a passion parade on 2 times a year. So can we just reuse on a previous one and put exactly the same, but maybe highlight different numbers?
Yeah.
But are you okay with the exact same words if it's been approved?
Yeah, that's what it's for. Yeah.
Yep. You just go in and make the changes, and then make sure you save it at the finish.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. Referencing partnerships, is it best to think about prioritising, for example, Hillshire Council and Orange Blossom Festival, then SI members, teachers, etc.? There seems to be a character limit.
Oh, is there? I didn't know that there was actually. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a character limit on that one. So I got caught putting SI stuff first when I thought having the Hill Shires should have been first. So now I've swapped it around. But is that what we want, to prioritise other organisations before SI members?
Oh, yeah, definitely, I would say.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
I
isn't
have-
this where we're saying to do a separate PDF if
no,
No.
that's partnerships, and
mm,
I didn't know that there was a limit on the number of characters you could use in that field.
Yeah, there's definitely a limit because I couldn't put in what I wanted to last
Well,
week.
I'll check that one out because I'm sure that can be increased.
Mhm.
And we're not to use acronyms because people who are
Yeah.
assessing could be in another country and won't have a clue what you're talking about
Yeah.
if you use an acronym. So you need to write it out in full.
Mhm.
Yeah, but certainly put the other organisations before SI. Yeah.
Okay. So addressing the problem, is there a word limit? How much detail is the expectation? More words than not.
Addressing
That's yours again, Jackie.
Yeah. Like I've spent a lot of time addressing the problem as to what we were aiming to do and putting lots of details in. But is there a limit there, or do you want like a story about
Yes,
a project?
a story. I've only had 2 projects to assess this year.
that's terrible.
Yeah, so they are going to come fast and furious at the end of the year. Yeah.
And how many clubs do you look after, Rhonda? You've got a oodles, haven't you?
Yeah.
Clubs?
Yeah. 39.
Yeah, 39. That's a lot of clubs and not a lot of reports, isn't it?
Well, their
The whole
reports
thing
are coming
is,
in. They're just not projects.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
yeah, and I was going to say a whole lot of the projects that we do go for the whole year.
Yes,
That's right.
And you
That's
can't,
right.
you know, we've got things that aren't finishing till
Till the end of the year. Yeah.
work
Yeah.
till December.
Still do
so
them
we
as
can't put them
early
in.
as you can in December if you can. Yeah.
Mm. And Rhonda, you also said that you don't like point form, dot points.
No, I'd rather have full sentences rather than dot points. Yeah, because I think sometimes you don't put enough information in your dot points.
Okay. And Jackie, your next question, can photos be added to published reports? What did you mean by that?
Well,
Once it's
now I
published,
can add photos, but they're on published reports, things that have already been published. So once published, can't add anything.
no,
That's what
don't
I've
go
been
and
told.
change
That's all.
anything. Even the directors can't do that. Yeah.
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay. And will the SWP in the club password change everything next week? That's one from Will. That's one that's going to affect all of us.
It will just mean that our email addresses will be different because our website's already SISEAP, so that won't change, and you'll still be able to get into your database. It's just the email addresses that will be changing. So each club should be writing to the people who contact them or they contact and let them know of the changes. That letter should have gone out early this week, according to Christine. All your clubs would have received information about that.
Yeah. Rhonda, that wasn't a question. We're doing all that. It's just that will that SWP before the number that we have?
I see.
Is the database going to change?
I suggest that it won't change. No,
Okay,
but certainly it could be a question I could ask, but I'm pretty sure that won't change. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Or they'll roll it over.
Well, it's only a way of getting in. So, yeah.
Good.
Okay. Are there any questions about the actual process that we went through tonight? We've got some other questions that we're going to go to now, but if there's any other questions that anybody has about, they can be as simple as anything. If you'd like to ask anything.
Rhonda, you've submitted that report you were doing.
Yes.
That had some gobbledygook in there. So can you retrieve that to
I can, but
change it?
Yes.
So you can, but if I was putting that in as a report, then I couldn't.
I don't think you could.
No. Okay.
Okay, so Rhonda, will you stop sharing your screen so that I can share mine?
I will.
Okay, so we're back again. and I'll go to sharing mine, and we'll just go to the next slide, and I'll move that. That looks from some of the questions that we got here. Timing of approvals, I think we've answered that one. Are there exemplar models to be available for viewing?
Well, we wondered if we'd answered this question, Jackie, by giving an example of the project report tonight. Is that what you meant?
No, just for guidance on what we can write, or can I access other clubs' reports? That's what I really need to know, so that can I go and have a look at what people wrote about their public speaking event or wrote about a particular project, so that I know I'm hitting the right marks?
Yeah.
Well, your public speaking reports have been excellent. So, but yes, you can.
I'll tell you quickly how to do that. You go into search reports.
Yep, got it.
On the menu on the side.
Yep.
And you click on that, and then you put in the information that you want. And it could be just education, for instance, and you know that it's in Zone 1 and it's from New South Wales, and there's a filter there for you to put the information that you've got. It may only be that you put the start date and the end date that you want. Like you.
What if, like, I'm trying to present a report on environmental project at the moment, that's running from this year through to next year. Like, and I would love to see what someone else has done on an environmental project, but I'm at the select, and I don't know where to put it, because
well, look at your SDGs and see which ones cover climate change or environment or life on land, and put some of the SDGs in. I think it allows you to do that. Have you got it up in front of you, Jackie?
Yeah, I've got it in front. I'm looking.
Yeah. So you can put an SDG in, and it'll bring up all the reports that cover those SDGs.
Okay.
And then you can choose a club or choose a region.
Yeah.
Yeah, but everybody is able to research that.
Got it.
Search those, yeah.
Okay,
and that
thank
is
you.
Valuable information when you're trying to organise a project and it's something new and you've not done it before. So yeah, don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, that's what I don't want to do.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. How to present projects that run over the December to January calendar year. And Rhonda, you've spoken a bit about that, but you need to emphasise that, because you said that's one of the most common.
Yeah. Is everyone clear that you need to start? The start date needs to be within the year that you're reporting. You can't put a start date of 2023 and a finish date of 2024. You can, but it won't show up on your annual report. So yeah. And if you want to talk about the fact that you started 6 months ago, just write that in the
Comments.
Yeah, in your comments.
I took some advice on this from another member from another club, and they said for me to, I haven't done it, but the recommendation was that I start at the date and then just do the zeros and X's and just keep pushing save, and then just keep adding if something else happens, so that I have got a database of what's happening and recording hours and everything on a gradual basis. So that was someone else's advice, like, as well as keep my spreadsheet, but to start writing the report when people were doing things rather than leave it for the last minute.
Yeah, that's right. That's good. Just be careful not to submit it by mistake.
Okay, and then we've talked about problems associated with saving of the documents. I think they're problems that all of us have had from time to time, and I don't know that there's a simple solution other than going through the process. From Griffith, we've regularly typed in testimonials, which we think are really important, especially for projects we may want to nominate for a best practice award, and they never show up. How do we know that they're entered? Or maybe the question is, how do we enter them so that they show up?
I'm not quite sure what the problem is, Will, because I tested that today, and we have put testimonials in Brisbane Water projects, and it took up to 9 lines So I'm not quite sure what the problem is, but an alternative is to put them in a Word document or change it to a PDF, and when you're putting in your test, when you come to the point where it says testimonials, just say see attached and add it at the end.
As a
Okay.
photograph, where it says to add photos.
Yeah,
you're
okay.
Mhm.
Right. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I have a feeling that it may have been changed. If you haven't done one for a while, I have a feeling it might have been changed to take more characters. I'm not sure why that happened. Yeah.
And here's that same problem again. What happens when you press
Yeah.
drafts and they don't save? And, we
Yeah.
probably need a software expert to come to our rescue on that one. But
I think the emphasis is that we just have to put something in every field, because that was my problem. I was saving halfway.
Yeah.
Because I'm halfway, I'm not looking
yes,
below.
yes.
No.
And then all of a sudden, bang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I learned that by the very first one I did. I was training somebody.
How are
I went through the whole process and it just disappeared because I hadn't put something in how much money it was or whatever.
Yeah.
That's right. And it's very frustrating. We all know that.
Probably need to double check from the beginning to the end.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Mm. And from Hornsby, do we need to report on our guest speakers that we have most months, even if they don't relate to our current programs? And would this come under activities?
Now, it's not accepted as an activity because it's within the club. It's not really a service to the community. But in our case, in Brisbane Water's case, we often give a donation to our guest speaker because they're representing some other organisation and they're raising money. So in that case, we would describe it and put it in as a donation.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay.
Ah.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions on those or any other questions at all? Okay, look, we've just had a couple of, I found this helpful myself, where to actually get help. You saw when Rhonda first went on to the website, she went into the program that I've got highlighted there in the members area. Then you've got an arrow going down there to program information downloads area, and then an arrow going halfway up screen again to the program reporting database help documents. And in that section, there are 50 help documents.
Yeah.
So you should be able to find help
Your question.
that you're looking for. So it's worth knowing that that's there because it's sort of hidden underneath all of those, layers. So
Can I just add to that, Jill, that Anne Allen, who's the program database person now, and she's looking after the database and answering these sorts of questions. I prefer it if you didn't contact her directly, but come through your zone coordinators first. But every month in Eastband, she puts tips for how to use the database, and they are incredibly helpful. So yeah, look at that as well.
Okay. And then Rhonda and Pauline will tell you that this is one of the greatest confusion that people have, finding the difference between a project and activity.
The project has a defined time span and seeks to address a particular problem.
When you're choosing your objective, you ask those questions. Why am I doing this? What's it related to? Is it related to education, healthcare, or one of those 8 objectives that are listed there? Then we look at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and they're listed there. We choose from those 17 goals related to our objective, and then we choose the target. Now, each SDG has its own set of targets. So, example, I'm not going to read all that to you because you'd be terribly bored, but for education, they're all of the targets that you might choose. And you'll notice down the bottom there's that not applicable because not all of our projects relate to one of those things that are mentioned there. And then in choosing the target, we need to be really clear on what target's used and is it education or health. If your project doesn't seem to fit into any of these, use not applicable. And then I thought this was an important one too. Projects, donations and scholarships need an objective, an SDG and a target if possible.
Wasn't the question about how to know the difference between a project report and, you know, to know if it is a project report or an activity? Wasn't
That's back
isn't
there.
that what's the difference between a project? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're trying to determine if it is a project, if you sort of, if it's, what's the issue, what research did you reference, what did the club choose this issue, what did you do to address the issue, what did you think would happen and what did happen? If you've addressed all those things, then you sort of know that it's a project and not just an activity, a community service.
Yeah. It's really important too that an activity is recognised as a community service.
Yeah.
Like having a function with just your members or even other seroptimists for your own entertainment is not really an activity. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So just flicking through then, we've got some examples there of choosing different projects within different objectives. There's one there for education. We're looking at the objective that we've chosen and then the target, and then, you know, the same thing for an environmental project. We choose an SDG that's related to that, and then a target that's related to that particular SDG, and so on. And you saw the personal care packs one that we did. So I'll stop sharing my screen, and that's what we've got for you tonight, ladies. Would anybody like to ask any other questions or make comments or anything? Was it helpful?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
I have a comment, and then I'll be quiet. I don't know whether it was a federation webinar or whatever it was. This is a few years ago. We were told don't use not applicable unless, you know, it's dire circumstances. And I think that's the best bit of information I've got tonight, that we can actually use that rather than trying to stuff it into a target that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments? All right. Well, that was quite a short meeting, but worthwhile for people, I hope. So thank you for attending, and hopefully it will be useful for you as a training exercise for your members who haven't come along tonight. Any other questions? We've got a region meeting coming up shortly, so Rhonda will be there. I don't think Pauline will be there that night, will you, Pauline?
No.
So thank you very much, Pauline and Rhonda. I coerced them into helping me do this tonight, so I appreciate their help and I appreciate you coming along. So thank you, everybody. Thank you.